You know that feeling when a character you haven't seen for over a decade suddenly steps back onto Albert Square? That's exactly what's happening with Anthony Trueman. I mean, honestly, when I first heard Nicholas Bailey was returning, I nearly spilled my tea. 11 years gone, and now Anthony is back, and let me tell you, it's not just a quiet comeback. There's drama from the moment he walks through that familiar square. Fans will remember Anthony as Patrick's son, the dutiful, level-headed one who always tried to keep the family together. But returning to Walford after so long, things have changed. It's like walking into a house you grew up in, but finding all the furniture rearranged and some rooms locked. Anthony's back, but it's not all smiles and hugs. There's this sense that he's feeling a bit like an outsider, even in his own family. And here's the kicker: Patrick has just gone through a traumatic attack. The poor man's barely had time to catch his breath after everything that's happened, and Anthony arrives right in the middle of this storm. Can you imagine how that reunion is going to go? One minute, you're trying to reconnect with your dad, and the next, you're hit with the news that someone attacked him and no one told you. I think any of us in that situation would feel a mix of anger, guilt, and protectiveness. What's really fascinating is that Anthony isn't just back to make small talk. He's got this instinct to step in, to protect Patrick, to take charge. But there's tension bubbling already. He's expecting the family to see things his way, that Oscar Branning needs to face justice. And let's be honest, that's where it's going to get messy. Who else is standing in his way? And why are they holding back? Already, we can see sparks ready to fly. Now, this is where things really start to twist. Anthony isn't just stepping back into his old life, he's seeing the cracks in the family that weren't there before, or maybe he just didn't notice them before. Patrick's recovery, the attack, the secrecy, it all points to a family struggling to hold itself together. Anthony's returning not just as a son, but as someone who wants to fix what's been broken. But the people around him, they might not see things the same way. And let's talk about Oscar for a second. This young man's already been causing waves, but Anthony has zero patience for excuses. When Anthony finds out that Oscar attacked Patrick, it's not just a plot twist, it's a whole moral battlefield. Anthony sees it as clear: cut, you hurt my dad, you face the consequences. But in Walford, nothing's ever that simple. Families protect each other in strange, messy ways, and Anthony isn't used to that anymore. It's interesting to see Anthony's protective streak collide with the reality of Walford. This isn't the neat, orderly family he remembered. Patrick has changed, Yolande's involved, and the dynamics have shifted. I reckon Anthony might even start questioning everyone around him: who's telling the truth, who's hiding something, and who's playing games. There's the hint of suspicion already, and that's the kind of tension that soaps thrive on. But I love this: there's emotion in Anthony's return that goes beyond just his back for drama. You can feel his guilt, his longing to reconnect, his frustration at being left out of the loop. Nicholas Bailey has always brought such a warmth and depth to Anthony, and I think this storyline is going to let us see a side of him we haven't fully explored before. It's not just revenge or justice, it's family loyalty and trying to find your place again after being away for so long. And here's a thought: Anthony could completely shake up the existing storylines. Imagine him butting heads with the people who've been protecting Oscar, or clashing with Patrick over how to handle things. That's going to ripple through Walford. The next few weeks could be explosive, and I'm not exaggerating. Fans, we might be in for some of those classic edge-of-your-seat family arguments that EastEnders does so well. I want to pause for a moment and just think about what Anthony's return really means for the family and the show. 11 years is a long time. So much has happened in Walford while he's been away. Relationships have shifted, people have grown or not. And stepping back into that world isn't just dramatic for the viewers, it's emotional for him too. There's also something comforting about seeing Anthony reunite with Patrick. Fans of a certain age might remember their first storylines: Patrick's grief, Anthony's early struggles, the way they leaned on each other. Now, Seeing them navigate this fresh crisis together is going to be both nostalgic and emotionally charged. I'm expecting some heartfelt moments, yes, but also tension, mistrust, and maybe even a few heated arguments. And isn't that what we love about soaps? Here's a thought: Anthony's protective nature might push him to become a bit of a moral compass in Walford, especially with Oscar's storyline heating up. But that could backfire. If he starts questioning everyone and demanding answers, we could see alliances shift, secrets spill, and old wounds reopen. This could completely shake up the dynamics in the square. Who do you think will side with Anthony, and who will see him as the outsider he fears he is? And speaking of outsiders, let's not forget the personal side for Anthony. He's not just walking into drama, he's walking into memories. The places, the faces, the moments he missed. Fans might remember his first scenes on the show, his bond with Patrick, even the early family tragedies. That kind of history doesn't vanish. Watching Anthony navigate this mix of nostalgia and new tensions is going to feel incredibly human. I mean, hasn't everyone felt a bit out of place when returning to somewhere they once knew so well? That's what makes his return relatable. What really excites me is the unpredictability. Anthony has opinions, a strong moral compass, and a protective streak, but Walford doesn't play by the rules. There will be surprises, confrontations, and maybe even some shocking revelations. Will he manage to protect Patrick the way he wants to? Will Oscar face justice, or will someone else step in? And how will the rest of the family react to his return? There's so much potential for gripping drama, and I think EastEnders fans are in for some real treats. I also have to say, there's something lovely about seeing Nicholas Bailey back on set. I can almost picture the scenes, him walking past the Queen Vic, spotting familiar faces, exchanging glances with Patrick. And knowing how he feels about reuniting with Rudolph Walker adds another layer. It's like watching the characters' emotions mirrored by the actors themselves. That kind of energy always makes for memorable episodes. As we move forward, I'm really curious about how Anthony's return will influence the younger generation in Walford. Oscar, obviously, but maybe others too. Will Anthony's presence act as a stabilizing force, or will it stir the pot even more? And how will Patrick respond? He's already been through so much. Anthony stepping in might feel supportive, but it could also bring out buried tensions. That tension between care and conflict is exactly the type of storytelling that keeps us glued to the screen. Finally, I just love that EastEnders is doing this, bringing back a character with history, depth, and emotional stakes. It's not just a cameo or a fleeting appearance. Anthony's return feels like it's going to be central to the drama for weeks to come. And if the teasers are anything to go by, we're in for some classic Walford storytelling: family loyalty, moral dilemmas, and a touch of chaos that only EastEnders can deliver. So, as we watch Anthony walk back into the square, I think we all need to brace ourselves. This isn't just a return, it's a ripple effect. He's here to confront the past, protect his family, and probably stir up a fair bit of trouble along the way. And honestly, that's exactly what makes soap spoilers like this so thrilling. Right then, I'm off to settle in for these upcoming episodes, and I can already feel the tension building. But what do you think? Will Anthony manage to protect Patrick the way he wants? Or will Walford remind him that nothing's ever simple? And where do you think this leaves Oscar and the rest of the family? If you've enjoyed this chat and want to keep up with all the latest EastEnders twists, don't forget to like the video. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing what other fans reckon, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the drama as it unfolds. Honestly, with Anthony back in town, things are about to get very, very interesting.